What separates a good anime from a great anime? Why do some animes stick with us long after we've watched it? Welcome to The Workshop.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Kris.
We're two friends from high school and now aspiring writers. And in this podcast, we discuss and deconstruct storytelling elements in some of our favorite animes.
Hello, everybody. Today, in The Workshop, we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to
Yay.
us. So this is a very big deal for us. And I feel like we've come a long way in a year. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Have we?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've matured a lot.
I feel like...
Or matured less. But we're a lot more comfortable in our immaturity.
I feel like we are pros. I don't know about you, but...
yeah, sure.
Like, we thought that, a year ago we just graduated, we knew everything. But now, we really do know everything. Mm-hmm. So...
It might be a little more chaotic than usual, but we have a special episode planned.
Special episode.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a ton of fun activities today.
That makes it
Notably,
sound
we got
so
to...
weird. That makes it sound like an orientation day.
An icebreaker. Towards the end of this podcast episode, we are going to be doing a tiered list of some of our most embarrassing moments over the course of this past year on the pod.
Yeah.
So you guys can watch out for that. But before we get there, we did want to have some intellectual conversation.
This is an anime podcast, so we have to talk about anime.
Yeah. We do have to talk about anime. So we are going to go through some of our most formative shows in our anime careers.
In our lifetimes.
Our lives.
Our weeb lifetime.
And we're just going to talk a little bit about some of our faves. I mean, this whole pod is us talking about our faves. But today, we are really going to indulge ourselves. Mm-hmm. So, we've got a bunch of categories. We'll start off with our very first category, which is our very first anime.
Heck yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll start off with this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only category in which I have chosen two.
Okay.
And I've chosen two because they're vastly different. So my first shonen and my first shoujo is what I would like to share.
Love that.
My first shonen, as I have mentioned on this pod before, was Katekyo Hitman Reborn. So I'll just give a short summary. So Katekyo Hitman Reborn follows this plain, boring protagonist. He's in middle school. He's clumsy. He's talentless. Sawara Suna is, he's just living life, trying to crush on this girl that he likes at school. It's an older anime. Obviously, it is very much a product of its time. So one day, Suna is just chillin', being a loser, and then he meets Reborn, who is this hitman baby.
That's his name?
Yeah, his name is Reborn. I love mafia storylines and tropes because it reminds me of this show. That was my very first show. So he meets this mafia hitman baby, and the baby is like, "You are the 9th boss of the notorious Vongala mafia family."
Oh, yes.
So it's this whole show about, full of flashy powers, and you've got 7 different characters who encompass different powers and different elements. So it's very much like a large cast, each with their own role on the team. So that was my first one. My second one, I don't know if you've ever heard of this one. It's called Shugo Chara.
Oh, yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
So Shugo Chara was my first shoujo.
Yeah.
And I like it for very similar reasons. Amu Hinamori is the main character. She's in elementary school. I was probably also in elementary school when I watched both of these shows. And the whole thing about her was that she is this multi-dimensional character who is like cool and spicy on the outside, but inside she's actually like really shy. So she has like a personality, like she has an identity crisis. And one morning she wakes up and she finds 3 eggs. And
this is coming back to me.
Egg hatches into this like guardian character. So it's a pink one, a blue one, and a green one, and it's very much like the Powerpuff Girls. So the blue one is like the artistic one, the green one is like the girly one who likes to cook.
Oh my god,
and
this
then
is
the
coming back
pink
to me.
one is like the sporty, athletic, and like cool one.
Oh my god, Ikuto. Oh my god, this is coming back to me.
I'm getting there.
Sorry,
it's
because I watched this too when I was a kid. I just forgot.
Yeah, this is my first shoujo, and then so they're all supposed to encompass like her like the various sides of her personality. And when she calls upon each of them, she like transforms like Sailor Moon into this new costume, and she has this like new power. And my first crush, anime crush, was her love interest, Ikuto.
Yeah, Ikuto.
They make the older characters like really hot for some reason.
This just unlocked a memory in my mind.
I was like, whoa,
you're like, sign me up. High school looks so spicy.
They have a special place in my heart because, you know, I feel like when you are younger, you just eat that up, you know?
Of course.
Eat all those tropes up. So those really stick out.
Oh my gosh, Shugo Chara. I forgot about this show. I did watch it though as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know why, but
I feel like
I remember the pink hair girl. I remember Amu and I remember Ikuto. Yeah. So for my first anime, this will come as no surprise to anybody, but I feel like when I was a kid, I was probably watching like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Seed, maybe a little bit of Inuyasha as well. So it's hard to say what my first anime was, but I'm going to say for the sake of this category that it was Naruto. Because I just remember, I feel like that was the one that I was watching the most consistently when I was like really young. So yeah, I'm going to pick it as my first because it has a special place in my heart.
You want to summarize
it's the one
Naruto?
That
it's like the one sentences?
That I associate the most with my childhood. Okay, so a synopsis of Naruto, if you don't know what it is, it's about a ninja named Naruto.
Okay.
And he is an orphan. He's a troublemaker. He's like shunned by his whole village because of something that happened when he was a baby. And he uses like mischief and humor to seek attention from people to cope with his own like loneliness and his own shortcomings. And the show is about him growing up and defying people's expectations of him. Like, I always loved fantasy stories as a kid, but I think when I think of the pieces of media that really shaped that love, I think Naruto is up there, you know? It's an action, it's an adventure, but then it's like also a story about friendship. And I think even though Naruto is like an annoying character to a lot of people, I think at his core, I really connected to like who he was as a person in terms of like him being someone who isn't technically good at anything, but when you just kind of watch him grow up, it's just a very like, it's a show that you feel like you grow up alongside of. And then over the 15 or so years that this show ran, you literally are watching the characters mature as people, get married, have kids, and now they're mentoring a whole new cast of characters. And I think there's something really special about that, because even though it's like fueled a lot by nostalgia, I think that that's something that not every story or every piece of media has the opportunity to do. Like, not every story grows up alongside their cast for like 20 years. So even though Naruto just it went on forever, and it's technically still going on. But I think despite that, like the early parts of this show is like quintessential shonen anime. Especially at the time that it came out, it was genuinely really unique and fresh and captivating.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it set the bar / the standards of what we would expect from shonen anime going forward, and that's why it's part of the big three. So for the next category in our most formative anime, we're going to talk about our favorite anime right now. So that's probably like shows that are like, you know, still going on or that we've watched more recently. My pick is Attack on Titan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's not the one you picked,
It's
right?
not the one I picked.
Okay. With every single season, I've just been so like impressed with the way that it's been jumping through genres. There's gonna be so many hipsters that are like, Attack on Titan is overrated.
No,
like,
they're wrong.
As people are with popular shows, but first of all, I think this is a show that has transcended anime. I think that this is one of the most impressive feats of storytelling that I've ever consumed. If you think about where this show was in season 1 versus where it is now, you're gonna be blown away at how this show starts as one genre, and then with every season it just layers on a completely new genre in such a seamless way. Like, it starts as a mystery box action show, I guess, and then it adds this layer of political drama, and then suddenly you're seeing all these high fantasy concepts, and then it's culminated into this story about war and just, you know, the cycle of violence. And I think at the core of it all, it's a really compelling and really believable human drama. And so I think Isayama and the way that he crafts character arcs in the context of this world is just so good, and everything feels so earned. And the way that you see characters develop as people with conflicting ideals and how those ideologies create friction in this political fantasy is mind-blowing to me. Anyone that has endeavored to write any type of mystery or adventure or political fantasy will know how difficult it is to balance plot threads. And just, I don't know, man. Like, when you're building out characters, it's really difficult to make those characters feel like real people and not just mouthpieces for the ideologies that you're trying to explore as a writer. Right. So writing these main characters that just feel really real and nuanced is so impressive to me. And even the characters that aren't nuanced, the show makes a point of like challenging them and bringing attention to how their views are flawed. So I don't know. I think when we look back at Attack on Titan in like 5 or 10 years, we'll be talking about it in the way that we talk about, like, if the 90s had like Evangelion and Cowboy Bebop, and you know, the early thousands had the big three, I think the 2010s are going to have Attack on Titan. Like, I think it's that kind of show.
I also want to talk about Attack on Titan because I chose it for a different category.
Okay.
I chose it for the anime that got me into anime.
Oh, and interesting.
Yeah, I know that it came out more recently, but how my anime journey has, you know, laid itself out is I got into anime at an early age, and then I kind of stopped watching it. But then I think that Attack on Titan really just opened the doors to show people just how much,
that's true,
like what level production-wise animation is capable of. With the writing, I'm just blown away at how crazy the storyline feels sometimes, but without ever having it feel rushed or incoherent. And, you know, just with the way season 4 is going, I haven't finished it yet, but I think that it could also be one of those shows where it's like you start this show and then you kind of grow with the characters as well. Like, so much has
100%.
changed since the first season. Yeah. So yeah, I want to say this was like my gateway back into anime.
Yeah, that's a good point. This show, I think, was a gateway for a lot of people. The reason that this could never have a live action or that it feels so fresh is that just the visuals of it is like something you've never seen before. Like,
so grand.
Like these giant titans are like so, it's so fresh. And like even the idea of like 3D maneuver gear, like how do you make action?
How do you just wake up one day and you're like, I
invented 3D
maneuver gear.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that, to me, that's absolutely bonkers. Because how do you make action in anime not feel cliche or something that you've seen before. And Isayama was like, I'm going to invent 3D movement here. And then Mappa, or I guess whoever animated before Mappa, Wit Studio, they were like, we're going to make this the coolest thing you've ever seen. And they succeeded.
It's crazy. The Titans themselves, like, who woke up one morning and was like, I'm gonna make giant people naked, no skin, and you can only kill them by cutting their neck. It's like, where did, like, that can only come from somebody's, like, dream.
You know, when you watch season 1, you're like, oh, the thing that fuels you to watch it is like, it's a mystery box, right? Like, these characters are in a world that they don't understand, and the show was just about killing titans. We're in season 4 now, and it's like, that is not what the show is about anymore. That is like completely, and the fact that he was able to, because, oh my god, the plotting in the show is so tight that you can tell that this man, like, either he's a genius or he knew exactly what kind of story he was telling right from day one. And the payoff of all of that right now is so masterful.
You start this show off knowing that it's got some political undertones, but even like the openings and the endings and way that the opening songs are like anthems or like patriotic in a way. It's this whole build-up, like, even though it's served to you under the guise of great action, which of course it has, but you always know it's gonna culminate into something very, very dire for the characters, the political regime, the social consequences, and when the show does have those like payoff moments, it's very worth it, right? It's very cathartic.
Like, I think you would be hard pressed to find a show that is able to really just like tell this epic tale of an entire world, an entire civilization,
an entire world,
and high concept fantastical lore, but then at its core, you're like, you literally care about this entire cast of characters. That's a hard thing to write. I think just like the depth of what he was able to do with this show, like, don't know exactly how it ends yet, but like, I'm just, everything that about how this show has played out is exactly, I haven't been disappointed. I have not been disappointed.
Okay, so my favorite anime right now is Haikyuu.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, of course. So Haikyuu, if you haven't heard our very first podcast episode, it is about Hinata Shoyo. He is this middle school student who's a little bit on the shorter side, but he has this whole dream where he wants to join the school's volleyball team, club, and he does. He goes to high school, he joins the Karasuno volleyball team alongside his rival and also now his teammate, Kageyama Tobio. And, the team just tries to make national championships. This is my favorite show right now because I never thought I would love a sports anime as much as I do. I'm not athletic, but I think that there is something about team sports that brings out a whole new standard for team dynamics, cooperation, and all of the friction that comes with just having to be on one team striving for the same goal. Sports isn't about flashy moves and superpowers, superhumans or whatever. Yeah. But the fact that you're able to turn a plain old sport in real life into something so exciting and suspenseful is crazy. Yeah. And I love when rivalry is written right. I think that rivals really push each other to be like character writing to be more than what is just given to you face value. Yeah. But it's hard to do that because you have to make sure that both your characters are receiving the same amount of attention and nuance and detail in their development and writing, and that they interact in a way that allows not only their own stories to grow, but also that pushes forward the narrative. And I think Haikyuu does an amazing job of that while balancing that with being a sports anime, which is I would say Haikyuu is definitely one of the trailblazers of its kind.
I mean, we could go on and on about Haikyuu. I mean, aside from the fact that it single-handedly popularized volleyball in Japan, but probably around the world, I think as someone who... I've seen sports anime before. I grew up with, like, Prince of Tennis. And, I think before Haikyuu, what people watched sports anime for was, like, the ridiculousness of it. Like, the literally, like, bending physics. Like, it was to the point where it was, like, treated like shonen battle anime. Because they were doing stuff that's, like, not possible. Or just, like, really ridiculous.
Because they think that they have to make it interesting.
Yeah, because that's what people associated with sports anime. And then Haikyuu came around and putting the drama not in these, like, flashy moves, but in the... like grounding it in the actual character struggles and their internal conflicts and just, you know, who they are as people, as teenagers. And people realize, like, so good character writing actually does trump all. You know, I'm curious to see where sports anime goes post Haikyuu, because I would like to see other sports anime attempt to tell these more human stories. And just on the note of, like, what sports does, I used to not really understand, like, people's obsession with team sports. Like, I grew up playing tennis, which is a solo sport, and I watched tennis games, but I was never just, like, you know, I didn't really care for things like the Super Bowl or, FIFA or anything like that. However...
But then the Toronto Raptors won the 2019 championship.
Yeah, so in 2019...
And everything changed.
If you were Canadian in the summer of 2019, like, it was an interesting time because...
Crazy.
I think... Oh my god, not to, like, turn this into a Raptors podcast episode, but Emily and I are big fans of the Toronto Raptors, and it sort of came as a result of just seeing the way that an entire country could like just become invested in the story of the Toronto Raptors as an organization, as a team. Yeah. And it's come to the point now where like I never thought I would be like fans of an athlete before, you know. I just love like watching them and seeing them grow. And even though they're not even like doing well this season, I like tune into every game just because I love
me too
watching them, because you never know with the Raptors, like they just pull together.
They're a scrappy young team of guys.
They're literally so scrappy. They're even when they're playing bad, they're playing well. It's so strange.
Yeah. And I think that at its core, it's also a story like Haikyuu. It's also a story, not the Raptors. The anime Toronto Raptors. At its core, Haikyuu is a story about working hard to achieve your dreams and your goals. And I think that applies to a lot of things other than team sports, but especially in the world of sports and competitive sports. It's like athletes are so hungry and thirsty for that one aim, and that is to win it all. Like, it is rare to see in any other domain in life people who are just so like ready to die on the hill of getting a championship or a ring. Everything counts towards your journey to get there. The diet, the workout regime, the team chemistry, coaching, the teammates. And, you know, as just somebody from the outside, like I didn't know so much was involved in team sports, you know.
With any other thing that you commit yourself to, like let's say you're an artist or a writer, like you can spend years and years perfecting your craft. But when you're an athlete, it's like you spend your whole life every single day, you know, training and working hard. And then sometimes like it comes down to just one moment in one game.
Right.
And I think that's not something that exists in like every vocation or whatever.
I agree. Shout out to Toronto Raptors.
Shout out to Toronto rappers. Shout out to Toronto Rappers. We love you.
So our next category is the show that has changed our life / mindset. So what we mean by this is, do you know that feeling when you are watching something and you come away from the show or the scene or the episode just feeling like, wow, that left such an impact on me. And then for the next few days or so, you go about your regular, routinely, everyday activities, and you think in a way that is connected to the show. That doesn't sound arbitrary, right? That sounds like something that happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we mean by change our life/mindset. Okay. I don't know if I'm allowed to choose this one, but I chose it anyway.
It's fine.
But I chose Your Name, Kimi no Nawa.
Oh, okay.
This movie. This movie speaks to me in a lot of ways. Not only because I do feel like it is a reflection of my life, but also it's a reflection of what I also want my life to be like. I think that Shinkai does such an amazing job making the mundane seem significant or beautiful. And I think that is not just for me, but most people, something that people struggle with. I'm sure that everybody sometimes finds themselves in a spot where they think, like, what am I doing with my life? Where am I headed? Uncertainty about the future can be scary sometimes. And then also just going through the everyday, like, mundane things, monotonous events of life. But the way that Shinkai is able to, through his storytelling and also his animation direction, is able to evoke such beauty and nostalgia in everyday scenes like waiting for the train or the rain outside in the city or the like sunlight streaming into the countryside. You know, it's like no matter where you live, no matter how old you are, I think it's such a universal message of comfort for people.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I figured you were gonna choose that one for one of these. I actually chose Kimi no Nawa for an anime with a character that resonated the most with me.
Ooh,
and it was kind of cheating because it wasn't like I particularly resonated with one or the other. Like, I just really liked Taki and Mitsuha's characters, even, which is so strange to say because they're such blank slates. But
yeah,
but it's almost like in this strange way, because you guys know, like, I love like really in-depth character writing, but there was something about the way that Shinkai presented these two teenagers that they were simultaneously blank slates and very normal, but also just characters with this like sense of passion and yearning that feels really real. I don't know. It was so strange. Being able to write a story about this sense of yearning for something that you don't know what you're yearning for. It's easy to fall into cliches or melodrama when you're dealing with such universal themes, but the way that Shinkai presents it, like Shinkai uses magical realism is really special.
Even the fact that he makes Taki and Mitsuha his main center protagonists is another example of how he is able to make the mundane stand out.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people think about themselves either as a protagonist of their own life sometimes or as a background character to somebody else's life.
Exactly.
I feel like people might, switch back and forth between that kind of mindset. So I think it's just really nice that he's able to make these two characters who, in all other cases, might seem like background characters in other people's lives, but still create a world narratively around each of them and have that be a beautiful story. Makes it feel like these things could really happen to you. I don't know how to describe it, but
it's
like you could be the protagonist of your own life,
Yeah. I think there's a lot of like that idea of romanticizing your life. Like, people might have different opinions on that, but I do think that there is something really special about about doing that and about having that mindset. And I think movies like Kimi no Nawa and, you know, Studio Ghibli movies as well, like they are able to like put you in that feeling for 2 hours. When you see Taki and Mitsuha at the end of the movie as adults, I just resonated so much with the idea of like that longing that they have in their hearts that they don't have a name for. Like there's something about that moment in this movie that it just hit me in such a profound way. Like it's the type of movie that finds you at the right time in your life. I have two. Okay, I have one, but fine. I have an honorable mention. So my honorable mention will be Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to spend the whole category talking about it because I've already talked about it so much. I do have to mention it because I feel like first of all, with this category, I actually think the way that I treat it in my mind was like, what anime, yes, changed my life, but changed my life in the sense that it influenced my taste in stories. As a consumer, as a writer, Avatar is one of those shows for me where I was just floored. I was just on the floor. And I think for so many people, it is like a generation defining show. And I think what it did for fantasy and for children's storytelling was a cultural reset. But for this category, I also want to talk about another show from my childhood that changed me, but not for its writing. And that show is Eureka 7. So I will give a synopsis because I feel like people probably haven't seen this show. Mm-hmm. So it's a sci-fi mech show. It follows a teenager named Renton who loves the sport of lifting, which is basically like air surfing. And he idolizes a legendary lifter named Holland Novak. And he dreams of joining Holland Novak's group of lifters called Gecko State, who also happen to be military deserters. So they're also kind of outlaws. And one day, a giant mech crashes into Renton's room along with its pilot, a girl named Eureka. And through a series of circumstances, Renton ends up joining the crew of Gecko State. He gets pulled into their adventures, as well as the mysteries and their backstories behind the people in the crew, and especially their enigmatic pilot, Eureka, the girl. So...
Whoa.
Why was this show formative to me?
Yeah.
Why did it change my life, you may ask?
Whoa.
So, this show is just cool as hell, okay? Like, everything, we talk a lot about the vibes. And we also talk a lot about, I always tell Emily, I'm like, whenever I'm writing, I'm like, I don't have a plot, I only have vibes. And she's like, yeah. And I think there are certain pieces of media in my life that have shaped me in that way. Sci-fi, space surfing, and I think it has one of the most memorable soundtracks ever. Like, it was a little bit of jazz hop, it was a little bit of EDM, a little bit of classic rock.
Stylish.
It was stylish, and it uses music in a way that makes the whole show feel really nostalgic. Like, even when you're watching it, there's something about it that feels nostalgic. Back when I was watching it for the first time, I was just so enamored by it. Like, the way that it presented a mech show was really refreshing, because the mech genre prior to that was, you know, galactic space war vibe, which is like Gundam.
Yeah.
Or it was Evangelion, which is like existential dread. I mean, it's a masterpiece, but it was existential dread. So this show had a genuinely like unique twist on like its contribution to the mech genre. And I say that it shaped my taste not for its writing, but because I felt like it was really atmospheric. I think it's one of those shows that made me be like, how you build a story isn't just about your writing. It's also about vibes. It's also like about
vibes are important.
Yeah, like what a story feels like is just as important as what it's about. And I think going forward, this show almost like it shaped my tastes and in stories and in music, like in a way that, I don't know, I just like, it has such a special place in my heart. And I just have such fond memories of watching this show growing up, even though it's such a mess.
You know, they say that like writers don't actually have their own style. Their style is just like an amalgamation of all of the content that they've consumed.
Definitely, yeah.
So Chris, like, sci-fi in the future, like I don't know, you know?
I don't know. Like,
we'll see.
Like, maybe I've drafted a sci-fi and maybe Emily has read it.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. You can't prove that. The next category is the anime that got us into anime. So I know that you already said yours, which was Attack on Titan. So I'll talk about mine. It should come as no surprise that my shonen simp self is picking Bleach, which is part of the big three shonen. So Bleach is an urban fantasy about a teenage boy named Ichigo who can see spirits and ghosts, and one day he meets a Shinigami, aka a soul reaper, named Rukia, and some stuff goes down and she ends up transferring her soul reaping powers to Ichigo, thus beginning Ichigo's journey as a soul reaper. Bleach is one of those shows where it's like, I can't tell you what it's about, but that's kind of what it's about.
Right.
So I'm picking Bleach as the anime that got me into anime because even though Naruto was like my first anime, it's like, you know, my first love, and it'll always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Bleach is another one of those shows where when I watched it as a kid, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. It famously, the writing in Bleach famously went down the toilet like 10 years later. But despite that, I think the early episodes of Bleach, the early story arcs of it, iconic. It's like some of the best shonen writing I've ever seen. And I can say that because I've rewatched it in the past few years. So I'm not completely working off of nostalgia. So yeah, I think this got me into anime in the sense that it was just really captivating. And I stand by the claim that Bleach has some of the coolest art and character designs in anime ever.
Ooh,
and I think that the mangaka is...
large claim that you're making there.
I think the mangaka is like an amazing artist. Like he's probably a better artist than he is a writer. And I say that with peace and love, especially when it came out like in the early thousands. There was no other show that was doing it like Bleach. You're gonna see a pattern with my taste, but I think it was really stylish.
For the last segment, we are doing shows with characters that we resonate with. So I know Kris has already expressed that hers...
I have an honorable mention for this one.
Oh, okay.
You can talk about yours first.
I'll talk about my pick first. Mm-hmm. So, I picked Haruhi from Ouran High School Host Club.
I was waiting for this. I was
Did you see that coming?
When is she going to talk about Ouran?
Okay, I wouldn't say Ouran is like part of my personality, but
yeah,
Haruhi is part of my personality.
Yeah.
So in that way, I guess Ouran is.
Yeah.
So Ouran was one of my earliest anime,
yes.
which is why I feel like this was a formative one, because I feel like when you watch things in your earlier years, it does shape kind of who you are, especially if you already see a lot of yourself in a particular character.
Definitely.
And then everything else kind of just follows. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that as a kid, I was super tomboyish. I used to take ballet lessons and I quit because I was like, I don't want to be seen as girly. Honestly, I regret that now. But, you know, at the time I was a bookworm. I was that kid
who... You were the same kid. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was that kid who during recess would sit under a tree and read books.
Oh my gosh. Did I tell this story on the pod already? I'm so sorry. I just interrupted you. Did I tell this story on the pod where... I can tell this because I don't really talk to anyone from middle school anymore, but there was one time where I went to a friend's birthday party and I brought a book to the birthday party.
That's so rude.
It was, okay, I wasn't like reading it like while we were doing games and stuff, but it was still like pretty cringy. Like I brought it and they put on a movie and I had no interest in the movie. It was like some action movie. So I just opened my book and I started reading. So cringy. Anyway, sorry. We were the same
cringy.
kid.
When I was a kid.
We were the same kid.
I told my parents straight up, I was dead serious. I was like, I love reading so much. I'm going to read every single book in this library. Like, I didn't care if it was in Chinese. I would read it.
Yeah.
I can't even read Chinese. So I was ambitious and nerdy, you know? The worst combination.
I know.
So I was definitely a bookworm. I was very tomboyish. And I was also very independent, even as a kid. Because
that's an older sibling thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw Haruhi as this girl who was all that to begin with, but then found her flaws in what she was most proud of. She found her flaws in the fact that she was independent, in the fact that she was always, you know, studying and didn't really know how to have fun. I was actually very, very introverted. But then afterwards, when I went to high school, which is where Kris and I met, I don't know, it was like a flip, just a switch just flipped in me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can't waste my life just thinking about grades or about, you know, having my head stuck in a book always. And so I think that as a kid, though, I really saw myself in Haruhi a lot. I saw that I really admired, I guess, the way that she was able to come out of her comfort zone, come out of her shell. You know, it was just cool seeing somebody on screen who was female, who was tomboyish, and who was, you know, a lot like me in a lot of ways. So
that's so strange to hear how introverted you were, because when I met you in high school, have I said this story on the pod too? What? I don't know if I've mentioned it yet. One of my first impressions of Emily
oh my god
was that I was sitting in the cafeteria and I would see Emily. She would be talking at one lunch table. Yeah. She'd be talking for a bit. And then she'd get up. And then she'd go to another lunch table. And then she'd talk to that group. And then she probably came over to, like, whoever I was eating with and talked to us for a bit. Yeah. And then stood up and she just would, like, go to different lunch tables. And I was like, this girl has so many friends. I used to think this girl was, like crazy in a good way, because I knew that you had a lot of friends, so many people liked you, and you got really good grades, and you were like in band, which is like a pretty big flex, I think, for the high school that we went to. We have like a pretty robust music program. Yeah. And Emily was like in jazz band and stuff, which is another big flex. So I was just like, this girl, she is like the perfect daughter that everyone wishes they had.
I did enjoy myself in 9th grade.
I
will say that I think I've calmed down a bit since then. I'm a lot more reserved now, just because I think that life gets to you, and it, you know, does something to it does a number to
adulthood,
your self-esteem issues, you know. I don't know, I am extroverted. What can I say?
What can I say? People like me. Okay, sorry, I have an honorable mention. So my honorable mention is going to be Mob Psycho.
I love that show.
Yeah, I love Mob Psycho. I think it's Mob Psycho is an urban fantasy about a middle school kid named Mob, who is like, he has these insanely powerful telekinetic powers, and he goes around exorcising demons as like a part-time job. That's essentially.
But he's so cute, but
he's
innocent
so cute. He's so adorable. Mob Psycho, I think, is one of my favorite animes of all time. The wholesomeness of Mob contrasted with the cynicism of his mentor character, Reigen. I think when I first watched that, I was just so blown away by their character writing. And in season 1, you're like, okay, I see, like, you know, it's a comedic show. You know, it's really just like a very like avant-garde type show. But then when season 2 came around and we kind of had this character arc for Reigen, the adult character, there was something about like the way that their relationship progressed that I just really resonated with. Like, as an adult, I find Mob's humility and awkwardness and gentle spirit really endearing and inspiring. But at the same time, I also found Reigen's like learning to overcome his own cynicism as really relatable.
Yeah. And the mentor-mentee relationship is just as hard to write well as like a rival relationship.
Oh, definitely.
You know? Maybe that's the secret to a good show. Like, if you could have two characters that are so, like, different yet deeply entwined together.
I think any show at its core, at least for me, in my opinion, has strong character relationships. Because that's the thing that makes you care about what happens to characters.
Yeah,
like, if
agreed.
you point to any show that we've talked about today, I think you could say what you cared about were the characters and their relationships with other characters. It's the hardest thing to write.
All right, so for our next segment, as we said, we will be doing a tiered list rankings of our most embarrassing moments from the past year on this podcast. We've got the lowest one. We've got recycling. You know, it's not that bad. It's not that gross. It's okay if you like keep it out in the open. You know, it's a little bit, you know, people understand that y'all have waste. Okay?
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay. C tier. Smoldering garbage. So, you know, this is the little cringy. It smells a little bit because it's smoldering. We've got our B tier, which is the classic dumpster fire.
Yeah.
The segment that all y'all viewers are well aware and are familiar with, you know.
Yeah.
It's in the back of the house. You don't want pedestrians seeing that.
Pretty much what you would expect from us. You know, it's classic dumpster fire.
Yes, exactly. It's classic. And then we've got our A tier, which is the fiery landfill. So now it's getting a little bit out of control, a little bit smelly. And then we've got our S tier moments.
Oh boy.
Raging fire in a wasteland.
This is the kind of stuff where it's like, I can't physically watch it back anymore. Which is why we're going to watch it back today in celebration of our 1 year.
Let's get started.
Let's
Kris,
get into
what you got for us first?
All right. Boy, oh boy. Let's take a look at our little tier list moment here. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared.
So, okay, let's start with Tipsy on One Glass of Wine outro.
Okay.
So this
I'm ready.
comes from episode 7, where we made, you know, a special episode talking about anime for beginners. Let me open
Notice how we never had an episode afterwards with a wine. Notice how we never did that again.
This was like a little bit embarrassing because literally we only drank 1 glass of wine. And by the end of it, we were like slurring our words. Okay, so let's take a look at this moment.
Thank you for making this far. I'm like slurring my words. Thank you for making
So
it this
tipsy
far.
now.
We know it wasn't easy.
We know it wasn't easy. This is okay. I'm blinking and I'm slow blinking. It's a little. Do we need to see that again?
Yeah.
The far.
We know it wasn't easy. I'm like slurring my words.
Okay, let's start from the beginning here.
Thank you for making this far. I'm like slurring my words. Thank you for making
So
it this
tipsy
far.
now.
We know it wasn't easy.
We know it wasn't easy.
Listening to us and all.
Okay, I've had enough. Okay, in our defense, like, this was at night. Like, we weren't psychotic. We weren't like drinking wine in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But it
we
was
shouldn't have
1
done
glass
that.
of wine. Which is why I find it cringy. Because
Yeah, definitely.
How do you feel about this
when
one?
you watch the whole episode in its entirety, it's like,
right.
oh, you know, it's not bad. But when you watch it in isolation,
Just
it's like, what are they doing? Okay,
Thank you for
okay.
making it this far.
I would say.
So Tipsy on 1 glass of wine outro, like, it's not that bad, but it's also...
No, but it's pretty cringy.
It's pretty cringy, right?
At least in classic or in fiery landfill, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say classic dumpster fire.
Okay.
Because for people who know me, like, very lightweight. So this is what you would expect from me as a human being. And we're kind of small. So Alcohol
And
does
it's been
things
like
to
a
us.
year.
It's been a while since we've had heavy liquor. So
Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna say classic dumpster fire.
Okay. Hopefully
like
people
this moment.
understand why we are like this.
So the next one is Em calling out Chris's tsundere tendencies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this one comes from...
There's more than just one moment, but okay.
This one comes from A Place Further in the Universe, episode 9 or 10, I don't remember.
Right.
Okay, so let's take a look. My second favorite character in the show is Captain Toto.
I like that she does have the boss vibes, but she's also soft, which I know is your downfall. I know that you are soft for characters that are like, ooh, I'm all that. And then turn around, they're like, ooh, I'm shy. I like that one. I remember that one.
I felt really called out.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, okay. How do we feel about that one? I think this one is like, because it's so predictable, it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. But I did feel really called out. So I'm thinking it's at least smoldering garbage.
I think it's at least smoldering garbage. If you really feel called out on that one, you could put it in classic. But yeah, smoldering garbage at least.
It's not a whole...
It's
not a whole
dumpster
thing,
fire.
you know.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Good. The next one. The next one is, why did you give this 16-year-old abs? All right.
This one was from episode 4.
Avatar.
Avatar, The Last
Yeah.
Airbender. The show for kids.
The show for kids.
That's okay.
This sounds so bad in isolation. Like, why
Right,
did you give
right.
this 16-year-old abs? Let's just play the clip.
On a dumpster
Sorry.
fire related note.
Yeah.
Why did you give this 16-year-old? He's 16. Don't give him abs. I don't need to see abs on a 16-year-old.
FBI is on their way as we speak. It is dumpster fire. It is dumpster fire. Okay. We were talking about Zuko and how he's cute.
I'm not proud.
I'm not proud of this moment. I'm not proud of this moment. I think this is fire. It's at least fiery
I personally
landfill.
think it's fiery landfill.
Okay, you know what? It's fiery landfill. All right, so the next one is your sprinkler laugh. You had a really funny laugh in this episode.
You listened to
This is from our Fire Force episode. Let's roll the clip here real quick. All right, so let's take a listen. I like a lot of these characters.
So you said you have 2, but if I guess 1, I win, right?
Yeah,
Please.
you can win.
Can you just tell me your feelings towards them?
Okay, so
I have never laughed like that.
why did you laugh like that? Literally sounds like a sprinkler. Like, it was so weird.
Laugh like that ever. Like, why did I feel like I needed to?
Were you conscious of the fact that you laughed like that? Like, in that moment? Like,
I
did
don't
you
know. I don't think so. I'm
Like, only
really
when you heard
embarrassed.
it back were you like, wait a minute.
I was like, what was that?
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna say I feel like it's at least a fiery landfill.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Girl, I was gonna say it was like smoldering garbage, maybe.
What?
Okay, if
I
you're
hate
that if you're that embarrassed by it,
Okay,
then
let's put it in
it's
classic.
fiery.
No. We'll put it in classic
Classic
as a
dumpster fire?
compromise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one is Kakashi and Kageyama
Yes.
in Your Name. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So this one comes from our Kimi no Nawa
Episode 5.
where we found out that the VA of that plays Kakashi in Naruto plays Taki's dad. And then the VA for Taki's best friend also voices Kageyama from Haikyuu.
Yes.
So Taki's dad, who has, I think, one line.
Yeah. Oh, why didn't you make breakfast?
That's the line.
Literally,
In
that's
case
one
anyone was
line.
wondering, I can quote the movie.
Yeah, she's watched it 8 times.
Yeah.
The way that Taki's dad has literally a single line, and I had to pause the
can see
movie
you
and go,
cringing.
"Oh my god!" Because that voice is
Wait.
Kakashi Sensei from Naruto. I didn't
Shut
make that up. Yeah, for the Japanese. Taki's dad's VA is Kakashi Sensei from Naruto.
You know what?
He's an
what we were
icon.
talking about how like there are characters that are really relatable. I personally can't relate to having Kakashi be my dad, but
And then we find out later that
Wait, do you
Taki's
say it?
best friends. Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
friend is voiced by is Tobio Kageyama. Did you know that? Wait, hello, Kristen. Hello. Did you know that?
I've heard enough. So that's
I
from
feel
her.
like that was more embarrassing for you than for me.
That was definitely more embarrassing for me. First of all, I sound so excited to find Kakashi Sensei in this freaking movie. And then you're
Right.
like, oh, did you know that?
And you like
Kageyama's
dropped on the
I literally,
podcast.
my brain like short circuited. Like, why? Why am I like this? Okay.
I had fun.
This one,
At least,
this is at least classic dumpster fire.
I agree.
You know what, though? Like, I'm going to put this in fiery landfill because like, that was a little embarrassing. Like, it was just too much.
Okay, sure. Like, just how excited you got, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be my own hater, but it was a little embarrassing.
That's all we do on this podcast. We
Yeah.
keep it real.
We keep it real. We don't lie.
We really do hate ourselves. Just kidding.
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Self-love. Okay. So the next one we have here is Em's inner Haikyuu simp coming through. Oh, I know what this one is. This one is from the Kaguya-sama episode again. Let's just roll the clip. Let's just roll the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically in the episode it's like Kageyama wow, I was going to say Kageyama. My brain just like what anime are we doing?
It just
Haikyuu?
your brain just like reset to its like default state. And it was just like it was like
Dumpster
buffering.
fire?
It was like buffering.
I hope I laugh. Ew. We were dying.
I love that.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
How did you feel about that one? I think that was more you.
Classic or fiery? Classic or fiery landfill for me.
Ooh, okay.
What do you think?
I mean, it's up to you. I think
I don't
think it's
would've
that
put it
embarrassing.
under classic if it weren't for my laugh at the end.
your laugh kind of did tip it over at the end because you were like, it sounded a little
Like maniacal. Yeah.
All right. This one's gonna
half
go in
of these
fiery.
are like me laughing, bro.
It's a good
What
laugh.
is this?
It's a good laugh. So the next one we have here. Oh no, I'm scared. I'm scared.
one?
I can see it. We like them as little brothers. Okay, here we go.
Maybe I'll just, from here on in, I'll just guess very unlikable characters.
Yeah, just always guess the prettiest character. I'm kidding.
Okay. He is very pretty.
We like them as little brothers.
Like the... Yeah. Go ahead.
Honestly, I just don't have anything else to say. Why do I like Kageyama? Honestly, the heart wants what it wants.
I think that's pretty bad. I would put
That one's
in-
pretty bad, right? This is at least fiery landfill.
I would put it in Raging Fire in a Wasteland.
It's definitely not a clip I would like people to hear.
I think that we were very bold in making such jokes in our first episode.
Yeah, that's episode 1. I think the fact that it's episode 1 immediately makes this Raging Fire in a Wasteland.
Yeah.
that is not
We
the
are
first impression
ashamed.
we wanted to give people at
We
all.
are quite embarrassed.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty
nothing has
embarrassed by
been
that one.
recycled yet.
Nothing has
So far, we hate all of them.
We hate
Okay.
ourselves that much.
This is fine.
Oh, the heart wants what it wants. That's actually part of the same clip.
I feel like that's also pretty bad.
That's also pretty bad. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it because it's episode 1. It's episode 1. The next one.
What's next?
Cold dudes being soft for each other. This one's iconic. This is from
That was
our
me.
BNHA episode. Let me just
was
roll
me.
the clip. I feel like there's nothing else
I
I
haven't
can
listened to
say
this one since
about this. So, cold dudes
since
being
we
soft for
recorded
each
the
other.
episode.
Let's take a listen.
And I don't know. I think I'm just soft for unlikely dude friendships. Like, I just
100%,
love
yeah.
seeing cold dudes be soft for one another.
I knew what I was saying halfway through.
I love how you slowly teetered off at the end. Because you were like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, at least I said the first part, so people have some context. You know, I said
Right.
I just like unlikely dude friendships. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's recycling.
No, to be honest, I think it's at least classic dumpster fire. Like,
Yeah,
it's what you would
yeah.
expect from us.
Yes. And
But it is a little the phrasing.
I would also say that I became self-aware halfway through the sentence.
There is that.
So, classic dumpster fire.
Classic dumpster fire. Okay.
Where we are half in, half out.
All right. Cold dudes being
Yeah.
soft for each other.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Okay, our next one is called Pausing Our Feminism for Spike Spiegel. Let's take a look at this clip here. Some of our gripes with Julia were personal vendettas.
That we were
and
jealous. Jealousy
That we
is
were
an ugly
jealous.
emotion.
Jealousy is an ugly emotion, and we are not
Ugly
here for that
emotion.
girl-on-girl hate, okay? The point of our podcast is to uplift women,
We jumped right
not
in.
to get possessive over men. Okay, so the context of that clip is
Oh my god.
Spike has a love interest in the show, but we never really see her. And we were kind of like, why does he like her? She doesn't even care about him.
Like we do. We were like so aggressive.
We were a little aggressive, I will admit, and we were even a little bit more aggressive against Julia in our Bechdel test segment. And
Right.
I think the fact that a part of this brand is that we like to uplift the female characters in shows. A little embarrassing. Like, why are we simping over a man? Like, embarrassing, you know? To be
don't
honest,
know.
I think that this is... It's classic dumpster fire. Like, it's what I would expect from dumpster fire.
Right.
But also, if I look at the other ones that we've put in classic dumpster fire,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not as bad.
I agree.
It's
I agree.
embarrassing, but it's not like... If
But-
someone were judging my personality based on this, there
Yeah.
are worse things that they could
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I would teeter between smoldering garbage and recycling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's
I don't think
recycling.
it's
I'm still
that
a
bad.
little embarrassed by this.
Okay.
I'm going to put it smoldering garbage.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm already dreading the next one.
What is it?
Can you see it?
No.
So this one is why do Bakugo's arms, period.
Iconic.
Just for context.
No context.
No, but just for
for it.
context, the entire BNHA episode that we recorded,
Oh yeah.
I'm just deeply embarrassed by all of it. But here's the clip.
Take your time.
No, I can't say it.
No, Chris.
That's okay, pause. That should have been my first inclination. The fact that I was like not even sure I should say
No.
it. And then I said it anyway. Okay, here's the rest.
I don't feel like re-recording this one. Honestly.
Why do Bakugo's arms, period?
Why do
Have to be so...
Why do his arms, period? That's it. That's all.
Wait, keep it rolling. Keep it
Oh
rolling.
no. Okay, fine.
For the YouTube video, we're just gonna show a montage.
Oh.
Montage time.
No.
Arm.
No. Okay, absolutely not. We're done here.
Arm.
Goodbye. This is immediately Raging Fire in a Wasteland. I don't care. This is Raging Fire in a Wasteland.
I worked really hard on that montage.
I know you did.
I hope everybody enjoyed it because I worked hard.
The next one is I Swear My Type is 18 plus. This one comes from
like
which
that one.
episode? Oh, wait.
I don't remember.
Avatar.
Oh man, great.
I'm scared. This is definitely about Zuko. Okay, let's listen. I feel like Zuko is just a character that a lot of people really relate to
You were
because his
justifying why you
character
like
growth is
Zuko.
crazy
Yeah.
in the show, and then they decided to make him hot. So what am I supposed to do? Like what am I supposed to do? I Swear My Type is 18-year-olds and up. Let me just make that very... Your laugh. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to put it in Raging Fire in a Wasteland.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
it's like, why? Like, I was literally talking about his character development, and then I had to be like, but why is he hot?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, this is definitely
Okay, nice.
Raging Fire in a Wasteland.
Very nice.
That's just so embarrassing. All right. Next, we have admitting to stalking people on social media. This is definitely from our Kaguya-sama episode where we were doing our absurd or relatable segment.
Yes, that was
where
fun.
we were like talking about the relatability of the skits in Kaguya-sama. All right, so let's listen to this one.
Following each other on social media. Now, when I say following, I don't just mean like the formal following. I mean like following, like stalking each other on social media. Okay, ready?
Okay, fine, yeah, go.
Okay, 3, 2.
Your laugh. Okay, let's keep listening.
One.
Relatable. Oh my god.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, there are definitely moments where it's like, yeah, when you're like interested in someone, you're kind of like, I don't know, the social media is like the window to the soul. So like you do kind
I
of look at their
agree
stories
still.
all the time.
Yeah.
You do kind of see like what they're doing on the weekend all the time. And it's like you kind of can't help but check, right? Like even if you don't really want to.
Which is why you like
yeah.
accumulate like a feed,
You
a
curate
certain
it.
aesthetic, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's not that bad. Like we're making points. We're making points. So
Honestly, I'm just mostly embarrassed about the laugh. Like,
your laugh was, we were like giggling about that one. I think this is recycling.
I would say it's like we were just being truthful, you know.
We
The
were being,
whole point
we were being
of the
vulnerable, which was the point of the
was-
show.
segment, to expose ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think we did that.
So I'm
With
gonna
poise.
say, I don't know. I feel like it's recycling.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
feel
think?
like it's recycling.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's
people
fine.
know.
Okay, we got one more,
Last one. Okay.
and it is M's undying love for Tamaki Suo from Ouran High School Host Club.
What
So-
episode was this?
This comes from the Bungo episode.
Oh, we're talking about voice actors?
Yeah. But it's your reaction. Let's take a
Okay.
listen. Tell me you know who Dazai's VA is.
Oh my gosh, is it Tamaki? Tamaki's VA? Stop. Is it? I'm gonna freak out. Is it Tamaki's VA? 'Cause
Yes.
it's oh my god.
Your reaction was longer, and I edited it out for the pod episode because it was really long. Like you stood up and you were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, but like I'm just happy. I'm just a happy person.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with being happy.
I was just genuinely surprised, you know.
I think it is classic dumpster fire. Like we're talking about VAs. We like knowing it when our favorite VAs have voiced other characters that we like.
Chris was trying to surprise me.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Classic
it's a good
dumpster fire for sure.
Yeah, definitely worse I was gonna say definitely worse than sprinkler laugh, but sprinkler. Can we move sprinkler laugh up?
Where is sprinkler laugh? Oh,
It's in classic. Can we move it up to fiery laugh?
You're that embarrassed by it? Okay, it's your laugh, so we'll put it up. This is pretty much what I expected. Like I knew that we would be heavy on the fiery landfill,
Right.
classic dumpster fire area.
So all in all
All
a
in
pretty
all.
good year.
Yeah, that was great. That was fun. We will probably do this periodically, like maybe every 10-ish episodes. We'll do like
Yes.
the greatest hits of our most embarrassing moments.
Yes. Thank you for making it to this part of the podcast. We appreciate it. We know it was not easy. Thank you for making it to episode 12. Like,
Yeah.
12. Who let us do 12?
Who let us do 12
Um,
episodes?
You can follow us on Twitter at Into the Workshop if you want more. You can also find our show on Apple, Google, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor at The Workshop. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.